Okay, so I decided not to make any public posts. After reading a lot of comments and thinking it through, I realized I just didn't want to get any more caught up in this mess. If I talked about it online, I'd just get dragged deeper in, and I really don't want to deal with that. So, I'm staying out of it. I've also blocked my parents and Melissa. I just don't want anything to do with them. I have, however, spoken to my paternal grandparents. Even though we don't see each other often, I've always felt closer to them. And now that I finally decided I needed to talk about these things with family because that's the only way I can somehow get out of this, I started with them. I told them everything. Not just what happened recently, but also about all the past incidents. I don't want to get into all the details, but there have been so many times where I've realized I'm just not that important to my family. Melissa, obviously, can't stand me, and she's made that abundantly clear now. But she's always been like this. What happened recently was just more extreme. I always knew she didn't like me, and the feeling was mutual. I was also aware that when push came to shove, my parents would always prefer Melissa. She's the golden child, the darling daughter, whatever. But for them to take that favoritism to these levels? Even I hadn't expected that. So, yeah, my family has always treated me badly. But up until now, I never felt comfortable enough to talk about it with anyone. I didn't think anyone was close enough, and I really don't like asking people for help, so I've always kept quiet. But after telling Jack about Melissa and witnessing his reaction, I realized I needed to start speaking up. If even he, who isn't even family, could be decent enough to cut ties with them, then surely my grandparents and other people would too. That's why I finally opened up to my paternal grandparents, and they reacted exactly as I'd expected, which was such a relief. I had to speak to them over the phone, since they live out of state. After I explained everything, my grandfather told me they were going to fly in by the end of this week. They promised to make sure I was taken care of. They didn't go into detail about their plans, but they just said that what my parents had put me through and Melissa's behavior was something they could never accept. My grandmother was incredibly upset. She kept apologizing to me, saying she felt she had failed her son, my dad, in raising him to be a good man, because a good man would never treat his own daughter like this. That actually cleared up a major